This video is about our second conic section, which is an ellipse. So we're going to talk about the equation, identifying parts, and graphing. So the ellipse is a set of points, P, such that the sum of the distance from P to F1 and F2 are constant. The general equation, this is the important thing that we need to know, is parenthesis x minus h over rx squared plus y minus k over ry squared equals 1. Now, a difference between an ellipse equation and a circle equation is that an ellipse is always going to be equal to 1, and it's going to have fractions in the squares. Okay, so some of these parts then, just like a circle, the center is going to be hk, and we get that from pulling them out by the h and the k. Remember to take out the opposite signs. Your rx stands for your x radius, which is the radius going from left to right. And then your ry is the y radius, which is the radius going up and down. So you're going to have a different radius, unlike a circle where you went in 4 directions with the same radius. The major axis is going to be the longer axis, which is created by the longer radius. And the minor axis is going to be the shorter axis, which is created by the smaller radius. So if we look at our first equation, we have quantity x plus 3 divided by 5 squared plus quantity y minus 2 divided by 3 squared equals 1. So our center here, we're going to take out the opposite signs of these numbers. So our center is going to be negative 3, 2. Our x radius is the number that's on the bottom of the x part, which is going to be 5. And then the y radius is going to be on the bottom of the y part, which is 3. So you're going to plot your center point just like we did for circles. So we have negative 3, 2. The y radius is 5. So from the center, we're going to go 5 to the left and 5 to the right because we're moving along the x-axis. So I go 5 to the right and I go 5 to the left. The y radius moves along the y-axis. So from the center, we go up 3 and we will go down 3. And then we're going to connect them. It's not going to look as circular. It's going to look more like an oval this time. So an ellipse is more of an oval shape where one side's going to be a little bit longer than the other. Now, it's not always going to be in graphing form. Sometimes we need to complete the square. So we're going to rewrite this equation so that we have the x's and y's together and the number on the other side. So we have 4x squared minus 16x plus 9y squared plus 90y is equal to negative 205, because we're going to subtract 205 from both sides. So in order to do completing the square, we need to have the x as an x squared. So from these two terms, we are going to have a GCF of 4 that we're going to pull out. So we're going to put 4 out front, parenthesis x squared minus 4x plus blank, so that we can do completing the square. Then we're going to do the same thing looking at the two y terms. So this time our GCF is 9. So we have 9 parenthesis y squared plus 10y plus blank equals negative 205. So in our first parenthesis, half of negative 4 is 2, squared is 4. But when we go to add to the other side, we need to take the number that we just had and multiply with the coefficient of 4. So 4 times 4 means we're going to add 16 to the other side. Then for our y's, half of 10 is 5. 5 squared is 25. But again, we need to multiply 25 times 9 to move the number to the other side. So 25 times 9 is going to get us 225. So as we factor, we're going to leave the 4 out front. So we have 4 parenthesis x minus 2 squared plus 9 times y plus 5 squared is equal to 36. Now remember that we said we want our equation to be equal to 1 always. So we need to divide everything by 36. So when we do that, these numbers, the 4 and the 36, and the 9 and the 36 are going to reduce, and we're going to have a number left on the bottom. So when we reduce there, we get x minus 2 squared over 9 plus y plus 5 squared over 4 is equal to 1. But we need to get these numbers in parentheses. So we need to take the square root of the 9 and the 4. So when we do that, we get x minus 2 over 3 squared plus y plus 5 over 2 squared equals 1. Now we're in our graphing form and we can graph. So when we go to graph, our center in this case is going to be 2, -5. Our x radius is 3, and our y radius is 2. So when we go to graph this, we go to 2, -5. The x radius is 3, so we're going to go 3 to the left and 3 to the right. And our y radius is 2, so we're going to go up 2 and down 2. And then we can connect our points. So if we go to our next problem, again, we are completing the square, so we're going to rewrite this to reorganize it. So we get 25x squared minus 200x plus 9y squared plus 18y is equal to -184 because we have to move that to the other side. So if we look at our x's, we have a GCF of 25, so we're going to put that out front. 25 parenthesis x squared minus 8x plus blank. And our y is going to be a GCF of 9. So plus 9 parenthesis y squared plus 2y plus blank equals -184. So for our x term, half of 8 is 4. Of -8 is -4. Squared is 16. 25 times 16 gets us 400 that we're going to add to the other side. And then with the y's, half of 2 is 1, squared is 1. 9 times 1 gets us 9 to add to the other side. So as we factor this then, we have 25 times x minus 4 squared plus 9 times y plus 1 squared is equal to 225. Then we're going to divide everything by 225. So we get x minus 4 squared over 9 plus y plus 9 times y plus 1 squared over 25 is equal to 1. We need to take the square root of those numbers to get them in the parentheses. So we have x minus 4 over 3 squared plus y plus 1 over 5 squared equals 1. So in this case, our center is going to be 4, -1. Our x radius is 3, and our y radius is 5. So we're going to go to 4, -1. Place our dot. Our x radius is 3. So we're going to go 3 left and right. And then we're going to go 5 up and down. And then we're going to draw in our ellipse. Now in these ones, we're going to go the other direction. So we already have the information we want to write the equation. So the center is at -3, 9. The x radius is 6 and the y radius is 5. So we'd have parentheses x minus the x coordinate. Well, the x coordinate's -3, so that's going to become +3 over the x radius, which is 6 squared, plus y minus the y coordinate, which is 9, over the y radius squared equals 1. In number 5, we have our graph, so we need to get some information from it. The center is going to be at 4, -6. The x radius, so count to the side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the x radius is going to equal 5, and the y radius is going to equal 2. So our equation then is going to be x minus 4 over 5 squared plus y plus 6 over 2 squared equals 1.